'cause obviously
The 9 Years Podcast.
Alright everybody, and welcome to episode 76 of the 9 Years Podcast. I am Nick Draper, joined as always by Stuart Deacon. Stu, how are you this week?
I'm very good, mate. Very good.
Good to hear it. Thank you very much for joining us, whether you are doing us on iTunes, YouTube or 9YRSpodcast.org. Bit of a strange week this week because we haven't had a game. So we've all been at a little bit of a loss for things to do. Stu, what did you do with your weekend without any AFC Wimbledon games to watch?
Yeah, so to be fair, I did what I normally do, because I normally try and find the youth are playing anywhere local, obviously normally at home if I can, and they were at home to a certain team from Buckinghamshire on Saturday morning.
Of course. I'm sure we'll be talking about that more later in the show then.
Definitely.
Definitely. Was that it? Anything else?
What else did I do? I went to pick up a wedding dress. I didn't pick up my wedding dress. My fiancée picked up a wedding dress, and we drove down to Brighton to leave it with her sister, as Lorraine wouldn't trust me to not have a peek at the wedding dress.
Why is Lorraine buying a wedding dress again, Stu?
Because she's getting married to somebody.
Who's she getting married to?
Me.
Oh, there we go. And can you remind us of the date again?
I don't know. When is sometime? No, I do know it is. It's 17th of June. 17th
of June. Mark it down in your diaries, 9 Years Podcast listeners, because next season, Stuart will be hosting the podcast as a married man.
Yes, I will be. How scary is that, eh?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's actually ringing true to me yet. I don't think it's sunk in. I can't believe... Being married suggests a certain level of maturity.
Yeah, fair point.
Should we just leave that one there for the moment?
Yeah, I can't claim to be any... Yeah, you're right, mate. You stumped me on that one. Cheers.
No problems. Do you want to get your top 7 list out then to move events swiftly on?
I do. It's interesting. After I'd done my favourite wrestling characters, I did see, and I can't find it actually, but I did see a tweet, I swear I did, that said it would be good if I could name my top stadium entrance themes.
Do you mean wrestler entrance themes?
I could have been, but I didn't have any wrestler entrance themes, so I went for football stadium
that
entrance
makes sense.
themes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a bit... Well, I say that makes sense. Stu, this is a wrestling podcast, not a football podcast.
I know, of course. Well, I have got... I love my boxing as well, so I was thinking, I could mix it with my boxing entrance theme, so there's quite a few I like. But I might do that for another podcast. But this week is my top 7 football stadium entrance themes. And
they are...
Yeah, so it is my favourite that I've been to games as well. I loved them. So West Ham United, of course, I'm very blowing bubbles, classic. The Evertons with the world famous Z cars, love that. Wolverhampton Wanderers, I remember many years ago in the FA Cup when they come out to Hi Ho Silver Lining. Nottingham Forest, of course, the Robin Hood theme. Accrington Stanley may surprise you, but they've got, I didn't know what it was called actually, but it's the O Fortuna, which is a very powerful, I think it's a 1930s music piece, but it's a very theatrical and moving bit of music. Liverpool, of course, with your Never Walk Alone, the classic one, and one from my early days away games was Leeds with Marching On Together, and they're my top 7.
Very nice list. Thank you for that, Stu.
No problem. I'm sure.
Well, I shall get on to that. I'm just going to say, I'm sure that all those songs you've mentioned are available on Spotify or iTunes. And if you are on iTunes, just give us a 5-star rating and review whilst you're there. But anyway, my top 7 list, Stu, I took inspiration from you. I think my top 7 lists are going to take a certain turn over the next coming months, weeks and months, as I count down to my big day. You've got your big day in June. I've got my big day in end of March, early April, when we travel to WRESTLEMANIA. And because you did your top 7 favourite wrestlers last week, I thought this week I would do, because you chose your favourite wrestlers, but they were all male. And I thought, we live in an equal society now these days, don't we? We've got all that feminism stuff. We're all the same.
Well, we're not all the same, but technically there are differences. I mean? Yeah,
well, we are all the same. Do you know what? I was on a sinking ship the other day, and all the women were letting me go first because we're all equal now. But anyway, I thought I'd do my top 7 female wrestlers of all time.
Superb.
Wrestlers / personalities. So you'd have heard a lot of these, Stu. Trish Stratus, Lita, or Amy Dumas, as she is known, or a proper name. Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Miss Elizabeth, the first and probably most proper diva of them all. Sunny, back from the late 90s. And of course, well, you can finish off my list for me, Stu. Who is going to be the last female on my list?
That lady you always talk. I say lady. Well, she is a lady. I'm not too sure. What's her name again? I know Lorraine always laughs when you talk about her.
Can't believe you've forgotten the name of Paige.
Paige, of course. Yes, of course. Paige, how can I forget? Should always book her in.
So to speak.
And of course, Nick, let's remind our listeners, where is WrestleMania this year?
It is in Orlando, at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida.
The Citrus Bowl?
Yeah, I think so anyway.
Is that what they called it?
Yes, that's the name of the stadium. It's an outdoor venue for WrestleMania.
Let's hope it don't rain.
In Florida?
Tropical storms. Yeah, I must admit, I'm totally jealous, mate. I don't mind WrestleMania, but I can imagine Orlando. And I saw we've also got a good friend with Darren Foreman who was over there last year for WrestleMania. I can't remember where it was now, but
Texas.
Yes, and some of the pictures and some of the stuff that he did in a short space of time was just it looked out of this world. So I'm sure you'll have a good time, mate.
It's fucking Watford.
So you've got quite a good month coming. You got quite a good month coming out. You think about we're going to the home of football or many football, Barcelona in Spain for a stag, and then you're going to WrestleMania. Crikey, you're a jet setting would be the word.
It's going to be a very, very busy month. If I'm not dead already from this ridiculous job of mine, I will be after those few weeks be on my knees. But then I spend a lot of time on my knees anyway. But enough about that. This week on the show, we have been rejoined, I suppose, the second time. We're going to catch up with Ryan Sweeney. Of course, Ryan left us. When did he exactly leave us? Was it in the summer?
Yeah, it feels like ages ago, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? But he joined Stoke City, and now he's gone on loan to Bristol Rovers. So we're going to catch up with him and see how things are going at our League One rivals, Bristol Rovers. Also going to be looking ahead to the Sheffield United game coming up. Celebrity, Two Word Tango, and Poleon Go, of course. But let's start, Stu, recapping that game you mentioned there that you went to on the weekend.
Yeah, so it was quite good actually. Thankfully, the game went ahead. Obviously, it was some dodgy weather last week, but it was moved from the training ground to Tooting Mitcham's 3G pitch that they have. It's just basically behind their main stadium. So it was quite nice actually going back to Tooting Mitcham. I've been there for a little while, and they played the team from Buckinghamshire and come out 4-0 winners, which was the exact score that we won by when we visited their place back earlier in the season. So that was quite nice to give them a good hiding and send them back up the motorway.
There is a lot of talk. I say a lot of talk, but it's in patches here when people mention the likes of Dele Alli, for instance, and people talk about Milton Keynes and what's happened has happened and how they're establishing roots in their community and developing a youth team system and everything like that. I'm going to suggest that our youth team system, on a much smaller budget, is outperforming theirs considerably. I'm not just talking about the fact of the results against, or the respective results we've had against them this season. What did you make of their squad and their setup?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I was chatting to a few of the obviously I go quite a bit to the other meetings, so I know Robbo quite well, and I was chatting to one of the backroom staff, and they were saying that you normally want to try and play Milton Keynes normally the first part of the season rather than the second part of the season, because they tend to get their act together. And what I mean by that is they won't kick the ball long. They play their centre half normally split to the when they have a goal kick, they split and they try and play out from the back. And what you tend to do is you squeeze the space. And what we've done all the time is you basically condense the space and you basically work on breakdowns, which is really what we did again, and it was what we did in the first game. But rumour has it in the second half of the season they tend to that system they try and play tends to work, or they get used to it, and they then tend to have some really good results. I don't know. Youth football is always sometimes a little bit about developing players, but I also still think it's about results. I think it's about getting used to winning, which is what we're doing at the moment. So what are we now? 11 unbeaten. We were very good. They were poor. Take away the fact I don't like them by any stretch of imagination. They were very poor. But I've seen them under 21s. I saw them under 21s last year, development team against us as well. And they weren't very good then. So I think we're going through a very good purple patch of ours at the moment who are, we're producing some excellent players.
Any names that stood out in particular?
Well, of course, Anthony Hartigan was playing his first game since he signed his first pro contract on his 17th birthday. Of course, I'm going to, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to say, yes, I told you so, but it weren't really that hard to work out that he was going to get a contract. It was a given the moment, I think, it was available to us. But I looked in that squad that we had on Saturday, and we had 4 players that have got pro contracts now. We had Joe Bursick in goal, Paul Canambaye, who's a contract for ages, Toby Sibic, and obviously recently added Anthony Hartigan. But there's some good players in that team, not to single people out, but Tom Scott, excellent again. Nathan Wood playing wide left, had a really, really good game. Reece William Bowers always works really hard. And also, what I would say, there's a defender coming through that I'm starting to really notice now, a defender called Sean Bird, who scored the first goal for Wimbledon on the night, on the afternoon. Morning. Let's start again. Morning. Got it eventually, didn't we?
What time of day is it? I don't know. I'm confused.
I don't know. But I've seen Sean Bird's first year. I've seen him play alongside Paul Canambaye. I've seen him play alongside Zazi when they were playing early on the season, when Paul was playing a lot of under 21 games. And Sean Bird's just got better and better. I really think we seem to have got this distribution distribution, basically like a line of manufacturing really good centre halves. Production line. That's the word I was looking for. But we just seem to have that. And he's another one that I'm really thinking will got a great chance to get a pro contract, because he's really coming out well now. But they're a good team. Obviously, they go to Preston on Wednesday night, which would be, obviously, we come out on Thursday, so we won't know the result. But without jinxing it, I'm really confident of a good score up there.
Yeah, we are into the last 16 at time of recording. Wouldn't it be amazing? Get to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and do you know what? They're very confident. And I'll give you a funny story as well, is that I got to the ground early on Saturday morning, and a guy approached me who looked like he was trying to find his way around. So I know most of the parents down there, because, of course, you sort of get to talk to them, and they talk to you. He was a new one. He asked, "Are you one of the fathers?" I went, "No, we do a podcast." And he went, "Oh, I'm a Preston scout." So he was a London-based Preston scout. Got chatting. He tried to look if there was a team sheet. Do you produce a team sheet? I said, I'm sure we don't, and we won't do because you're here. It was very blunt.
You were welcoming him with open arms, weren't you?
Yeah, and I really had a bit of a wind up. He can, is the team decent? I said, no. I said, it's probably going to be our second string team today anyway. We're not going to give you any clues. Having a bit of a laugh and stuff like that. But Mark Robinson did come over to me and said, did I chat to him? I said, yeah, don't worry, I can away no secrets. And Robbo wasn't surprised. He said, these clubs now take it very seriously. And he was saying that actually when we beat Hull in the last round of the FA Youth Cup, they were happy to share their dossier basically done on Everton. If they got through to the next round, and they said it was just the most extensive preparation he's seen. It was just ridiculous.
You mentioned our production line there and the amount of talent that we're bringing through into the first team. Youth development is a constant. We're forever talking about it, aren't we, as football fans? We've been talking about it for years and years, especially when it comes to the national team. Just thinking, tying it into, I was at Fulham on the weekend, we saw Ryan Sessegnon, 16 years of age, looks a lot older, a lot more mature than his years, but doing very, very well. There does seem to be a lot of talent, young English talent around. So should we not be seeing more of this especially with the FA Cup at the moment, taking priority in people talking about teams giving young players a chance? Shouldn't we be seeing more English talent now at the highest level? It's clearly there. Our coaching and our academies are clearly doing a good job.
Yeah,
so
we are.
Shouldn't we see a greater number of young English players hitting those top levels?
Yeah, it's not a surprise. The talent is there. It's the problem you've got now is with the Premiership, it's saturated by what you probably would say foreigners, foreign youth players, and I mean like French, Italians, Spanish. If you look at Chelsea under-18 team that visited us in the FA Youth Cup last year, they had the captain of the Swedish national team at that age, and they bring them in, right? That's up to them. But I think we have got very good academies, but the Premiership is heavily populated by foreign talent and not necessarily youth talent either. I'm trying to think now the last time we brought over a top young player from Europe, normally they want the finished article, don't they? Because if you look at the shelf life of a manager in the Premiership, I think it's no more than 12 months. If you that sort of thing, so they're not going to go for your youth products. Whereas maybe your Fulhams and down at our avenues, your Luton Towns, who've got a very good production line at youth. I thought I'd give you a mention there, Nick. They will go with the youth players, But for us, it's massive, and we are now starting to see a production line coming into the first team, and there's some good ones. And like I say, even in that amongst there, there's second years that are standing out, but the first years coming in behind them, there's some excellent first years as well. So, and from what I also from chatting to the youth coaches down at Wimbledon, the under 16 team this year is pretty decent, and then under 15s also. So this isn't going to be a one-off. We're going to keep seeing a production line through the ages.
Going to see more Anthony Hartigan signing professional terms. He was an addition to the first team squad last week, and as we are recording this evening, fairly breaking news, fairly recent news on transfer deadline day of another addition to the squad. Tom Soares has joined us from Bury for an undisclosed fee. I'm going to leave that one there. I'm not going to go on an undisclosed fee rant for the time being, as I think about my ownership of this football club that doesn't tell me how much we're actually spending on players. Anyway, that's for another day. In midfield player, Tom Soares, we're very familiar with him because he turned out for Bury against us a couple of months back. Former Crystal Palace player, was signed, you mentioned in there, over £1 million at one stage in his career. Seems to fall into the mould of signings that Neil Ardley likes to make. He's experienced. Going to bring a lot of League One experience to our side, and I think it's well needed.
Yeah, Joe, he's been a Bury longer than what I thought, actually. But then he has crossed. He's crossed our paths many times, hasn't he? Through the years, he's since July 2012. So yeah, we're looking at now coming up to 4 years. So we've sort of crossed his path now. And then a quality player, there's no doubt about that. I still remember when he was at Palace, and I was surprised when Palace let him go because he was part of Palace got a good youth set up. So I was surprised to let him go. But I suppose 1.25 million from Stoke was probably a good offer at that time. Lots of championship experience, even been north of the border at Hibernian. Was at Sheffield Wednesday for a bit of time, but decent. I listened to the Don's Play review with Neil Ardley, and it is, you hit it now on the head, Nick. He's a typical Neil Ardley signing experience, but also can play in more than one position, can play anywhere across the back four and anywhere across the midfield. So that's priceless for us in terms of our small squad.
Another thing about him you mentioned to me just before we started recording was his disciplinary record. Is that an unfair way to introduce that?
Well, it's not when you look at what he's done this season. I'm just going back in. He's had 11 bookings already this season, so pretty impressive, if that's the right word, Nick. Because I do
more bookings than Jim Davidson.
I do like a player that gets stuck in, and where I've seen him play a few times with Bury. But in fact, people may correct me, but I'm almost positive he played in the back four in the first game, which was a cup game, and then moved into midfield for the league game. Not that either made any difference in all seriousness, but he can play in different positions. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't overly impressed with him in either game, but then playing that Bury team, I would imagine is enough to kick the stuffing out of most people. So he undoubtedly has ability, and I can see him, if you think about it, if he was in a midfield three, which I think we can play a 4-3-3, if he was in a midfield three of Reeves, Parrott and him, I wouldn't be too unhappy with that. So
should we go for a quick two-word tango?
Yeah, go for it, mate. Yeah, go for it.
What should we go for? How about players that we've signed and spent money on in our time watching Wimbledon?
Yes.
That seems to link nicely with our Tom Soares.
So are we thinking then the whole time?
Yeah.
Or just AFC Wimbledon?
Oh, no, forever. All time.
Otherwise, we'll run out after about 5.
Otherwise, we're struggling because, according to our media communications, we have undisclosed fees. So we don't know if we've actually paid any money for these players or not. So
I know.
Sorry, I'll let that drop now.
You'll find out next year when we do the 2016-17 finances.
When that part's redacted. Anyway, let's go. Do you want to go first? I'll be generous and let you go first.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, that's cool.
Gotta listen out for this guy. He's a famous name, but don't flop. Something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity 2-word tango.
John Main.
John Hartson.
Ben Thatcher.
Mark Kennedy.
Danny Kedwell.
Kerry Hughes.
Lyle Taylor.
Michael Hughes.
Tom Soares.
I'm screwed.
I don't believe we signed him.
I'm screwed. You know who's great played left back? I'm sure there are many others, but you know I did a total mind blank.
It's because, do you know what, in my head I had two players, and then in the end I didn't make a decision until very late.
Who did you go? Because the
Tom Soares one. I made a very late decision.
That threw me because I thought if you were chucking Tom Soares in now, and I started to panic. Efanakoku would have been a good one, wouldn't it?
Well, to be fair, there's many players we've signed.
I know there is, but you know what? In my time,
Adam Bennett. Oh, was that a feed? That's an interesting one.
That's the thing. That's what I was struggling on. I had all these players' names, and I'm thinking Mark Williams. No, he was a freebie.
Yeah, Bowen Harrison would have got you one.
No, true. Never mind. Anyway.
Always easy after the event, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I win.
Okay, Ryan Sweeney left us at the start of the season. Joined Stoke City, Premier League Stoke City. He's been playing in their academy sides. But just the other week, he joined Bristol Rovers, our League One rivals, on loan until the end of the season. That is right, isn't it, Sweeney? It's to the end of the season now, yeah?
Yeah, it's the end of the season, yeah.
Cool. So how did that move come about? Were you looking to go out on loan to anywhere, or was it a case of Bristol Rovers coming in for you?
Yeah, I think when I signed for Stoke, I think the plan was always to try and get out on loan in the January window, and then there was not a lot. It looked like I might be going on loan to a League Two club, and that kind of didn't work out. And then I was at training one day, and then I got pulled and just said I'll be going Bristol Rovers the start of the following week. So it was just out of the blue really, and then went from there.
Was or is the move to Bristol? I mean, it's great in terms of your development, going into League One and getting some regular first team action again. It's a long way to travel, though, isn't it? You've had a big journey up to Stoke, and now you're coming all the way back down. I imagine what you're doing now. You back in a hotel, or have you got accommodation?
No, I mean it's actually closer to home. To be fair, it's only an hour and 45 to 2 away, so it's just not actually too bad. But no, I'm in a flat with one of the other boys that signed on loan. So no, it's alright. So I'm not actually. I was in a hotel for the first couple of nights, and then they put me up in a flat. So it's nice down here.
So you were talking about that you got called in and said you would be going out on loan. Did you get a choice of if you want to go or not? 'Cause obviously Bristol Rovers is a really good move, a big club in a big city. But did you get a choice? Was there a choice, or was it a case of this is where we've selected you to go on loan?
I think it was more my agent had helped me out with it. But obviously, once you get sort of a big club like Bristol Rovers, it's obviously you're not going to say no, and obviously it's first team football. So it was in terms of where Bristol is. It's a lovely city. So obviously it was I think it was more than a perfect move for me in terms of my development and playing football. So now I'm really happy with it.
So how have you found? So I looked at I just had a quick look and see how you're getting on the Under-23 league. I didn't want to look too hard. I see that you Stoke at bottom of that Premier League 2. Is that right?
Yeah.
How you found this season? Obviously not down to you, Ryan. Of course, I can totally appreciate that. But how you found the Under-23 football this year?
Yeah, it's a different world what I was used to last year. It takes a lot of adapting when you go to somewhere like in the Premier League setup. There's obviously it's more on the floor, and obviously the players are obviously more technical and it's a bit sharper. So it's something I've been adapting to. But I just felt as well that it was definitely the right time for me to get out on loan and get some first team football. So no, it's been good. I've enjoyed it.
Bristol Rovers, then, you guaranteed? Or any guarantees at all about starting places, or is it a case of they want to bring you into the first team squad? Yeah, but you're a squad member now. Do you know what I mean? You're not guaranteed to sit straight into that first team setup, or
I think I've gone in there to play. Obviously, I didn't want to just come out on loan and sit on the bench. But obviously, it's down to me if I'm not performing. If I'm not performing well, then obviously the gaffer's probably likely to put someone else in. But no, obviously I've gone in to play, so hopefully I can get as many games under my belt as possible, and hopefully just do well for the team. Really.
You made your debut for Bristol Rovers against Swindon.
Yeah,
just the other week. Some good reviews as well, from what I've been hearing. An impressive debut, it's been reported as being. You almost got a goal as well, I think.
Yeah, no, I had a header off the line. Yeah. So,
what did you make of going back into League One football? Then you've mentioned the step up in terms of the technique of the players at under 23 level.
Yeah,
Did you find going back in? Was it difficult to adjust? Was the pace a little bit faster? Was it more direct? What was the?
No, I think there's like just from that game compared to League Two. I think obviously Swindon try and play football, so it's a lot different. But I felt because I've been playing for the majority of the season anyway, so I felt sharp, felt fit as well. So I think it was in terms of like the pace of the game, I found it easy, and obviously the physicality. It's what I was playing League Two last year, so I was ready to step in anyway, and I thought I had a good debut, to be fair, so hopefully that can continue.
I noticed listening to the Rovers interview when you joined last week that you were very much like, a bit tippy-tappy football, 23s and no pressure, and it was you get points and it's a real game. Did you have them butterflies on Saturday before the Swindon game going into a game that needs points, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, no, to be fair, the atmosphere around before the game is so much different. Because you're obviously going into a first team environment, and there's obviously the manager's job's on the line every time you go out and play. So obviously you get that as well. And I was really excited, to be fair. You played in front of a good crowd in the derby as well. So yeah, no, it was a nice change from the under 23s where you don't get maybe a lot of people turn up. So no, it was good to play in front of a good crowd, and obviously the Bristol fans are really good fans as well. So I really enjoyed it.
So I know listening to that interview, you didn't know anybody, I believe, going into Bristol Rovers. So after your first week of training, let's cut to chase. Who are the characters in the Bristol Rovers dressing room?
It was quite lively, to be fair. They've got a good set of lads. I think the two that probably stick out for me is Harrison up top and Lee Mansell. They're funny guys, so
we've been around the block a few times, I think, with Lee Mansell. Wasn't he at Torquay? Was that the one, Stu?
Torquay.
Yeah, so experienced pro.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, man. So no, they've all been welcoming, to be fair. Like I said, they're a really good set of lads. So I've enjoyed my week, the week I've been there. So hopefully that can continue.
Has the training been any different at all from what you're used to? So obviously you've gone from a Premiership setup to a League One setup. By all accounts, Bristol Rovers setup is very good. Has the training been any different at all? Has it been a bit of... Obviously you were training with Premiership players. I'm assuming were you training with the first team or around the first team at Stoke?
Yeah. No, I think it varies. You're more with the 23s, but then there could be some weeks where you're training with them 3-4 times, and there could be another week where you're not really with them. So it varied. I was with the first team, training with them a bit, but no, the training at Bristol's it's different. It's different to the 23s at Stoke. But no, I've enjoyed it a lot. To be fair, I mean it's really intense and it's physical as well. So it's good preparations for the weekend because it's match related. So, but I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
What is the main focus? What were the main focus of your training at Stoke then? Is it a lot of positional work, a lot of strength training? What's the key thing they focus on, or is it mainly technique at that level? Yeah,
I think it's a bit of everything. I think 23s, I think they're the job of the managers to try and get the players that he's got in the 23s getting ready for first team basically. So he works on sort of technique and things like that, like you were doing the 23s. Whereas when now I've come on loan to Bristol, you're obviously a first team player, so the training's more based for players obviously in the first team squad. So things like 2v2s, and then like you obviously do shape for the game, and it's shorter. It's shorter as well. The training, so it's shorter and a lot more intense, which it can only benefit me really.
And with Bristol Rovers, as you mentioned, they're going to a game-by-game basis, preparing for forthcoming fixtures. Is there an aim? Have you been told of an aim for the season and for the first team of Bristol Rovers? Knowing that they came up with us last season, so first season back at League One level, but right on the fringes of the playoffs, 3 points outside. Is that the aim? Or are they still very much, like ourselves, I'd imagine, thinking, let's just consolidate and stay in the division?
Yeah, I think... the manager, he does want to get to a points tally where he knows he's safe in the league. But at the same time, I think when you're only 3 points off the playoffs, I think the only way you can look is up, to be fair. And I think you've got like a good group of lads with good quality, so I don't see why we couldn't really push the top six to try and get in the playoffs, yeah.
So it's interesting. Sorry, Nick.
No, go on.
I was just saying, just talk about top six. I've just been nosy and having a look at. When you joined, did your agent tell you what the next lot of games were in February for Bristol Rovers?
No, but I was made aware quite quickly. To be fair, I know it's a tough month coming up. So.
It's a horrendous month. Let me just go through this. You've got Rochdale away, Rapid at home, Sheffield United at home, Port Vale, the easy one for you. No disrespect to Port Vale. Scunthorpe at home, Bolton away.
Yeah,
wow.
No, it's it's a bit of a grueling one, isn't it? So,
have you looked at any other fixtures, by the way, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, no, of course I have. I know April the 8th is a special. Yeah, no, I was made aware of that as well when I first signed. So,
I think you'll be welcomed back, given a very warm reception. Do not worry. I don't think we're going to have any Matt Tubbs type reactions when you return. No, don't hope. Trust me, you will do.
No, that's good.
We'll welcome you back. But as you touched on there, Stu, with fixtures coming up, and we've talked about perhaps playoff charges, and like ourselves trying to perhaps consolidate first and then go from there. Bristol Rovers, though, they are, like you said, they're a big club. Big fan base, potential to go quite a long way. I know you're only there until the end of the season, but can you see the potential they have to move further forward? I mean, Bristol City, lots of investment's gone in there. You can see the signs of their club at the moment. I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm just saying that the city of Bristol has two football clubs there, both of which could probably be aiming for a little bit higher than they currently are. Yeah,
no, I think so. I think especially the fan base down there is brilliant. Like, I think the atmosphere they create at home games. But obviously it's just the investment. So I think if they did invest in things, then obviously I think the club can move forward massively. So I've only been here obviously a real short space of time, but I can see like the club's great. They've got a great management, a great squad of players. So I don't see why the club couldn't move forward to bigger and better things. Yeah,
and they've got a manager there, Darryl Clark, someone that perhaps could go a long way with the club as well. Very, very young manager in the grand scheme of things. I think he's just 38, 39.
Yeah.
So, is that different, like for you, playing under younger managers? I mean, your coaches at Stoke, I think, are a little bit more experienced.
Yeah.
Been in the game a little bit longer, but playing under young managers, Neil Ardley, Darryl Clark, do you sense that they've got that real enthusiasm and?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously the gaffer Neil Ardley at Wimbledon, I think he's going to go on to big things as well. The things he's achieved at Wimbledon so far, it's brilliant what he's done for the club. Him, Coxey, Bass. It's been really good. I think Darryl Clark, the gaffer at Bristol Rovers as well. To get back-to-back promotions, obviously, it's fantastic, and the club's had a really, really good season so far. So hopefully, we can just kick on from here now, and then hopefully make it an even better one than it already is.
So, just thinking out loud, have you obviously you've been at Wimbledon for a long time? You've been keeping an eye on this season, how we've been getting on?
Oh yeah, no, of course. Every week I look out for the Wimbledon scores. Obviously, I've still got some good mates there that I still talk to all the time. I keep in contact with some of the coaching staff as well. So yeah, no, every week I'm looking out to see how they're doing. So
And obviously, you're one of our you're one of our youth products for the academy. The FA youth team go to Preston Wednesday night, and we'll by the time we recorded this, we'll have been played. But that's quite impressive. 2 consecutive seasons now, getting into under 16s. I'm sorry, into the last 16. Sorry, into the under 16s.
Be very careful. I don't know how you get into the under 16s. We'll move on very quickly.
Yeah, getting into the last 16.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by that, or actually the academy setup is very good, isn't it?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I think any of the lads will say, the things that anyone that's worked with Robbo will know how much time and effort he puts into his sides. So to see them beating a Premiership team in Hull City 3-0, I wasn't really surprised with it. I spoke to Robbo, funny enough, after it. He said it could have been 5 or 6 easily. So no, I'm sure they'll go up to Preston, and I'm pretty sure if they win that, they can get Stoke in the next round as well. So he's already been asking me for tips off what they're like. So.
And of course,
no, but I'm not
sealed.
Yeah. So no, I'm not surprised at all what Robbo's done there. He's doing a fantastic job, and obviously there's more and more players that will make their debut. And obviously Alfie made his first start the other week. So yeah, no, there's always so many positives coming out of the academy setup at Wimbledon. Yeah,
but no, that's great. Thank you very much, Ryan. Good luck for the rest of the season with
thank you.
Bristol Rovers and Stoke City when you return.
Yeah,
and of course, I guess we'll see you on the 8th of April.
Yeah, I'll see you then. Yeah, perfect.
Get ready for Tom Elliott. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know. Well, cheers.
Nice one. Cheers, Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Poleon Go this week.
I don't win.
I think you're going to get this one, actually. I think a lot of people listening will as well, but it might take until the third clue, okay?
Cool.
So, first clue is that this stadium is one that shares its name with an old name, or the original name of this football club.
Oh. No, I'm not clear.
Okay, well, Don Poleon has travelled to this stadium. He's having a look around, as he always does. Like I like to do. I like to have a little look around the stadium and the surrounding areas. I particularly like going to Southend this season, Stu, where we realised we couldn't actually go any further. We seemed to walk down a dead end, didn't we? But anyway, that's a story for never, actually. That's the most boring story I think I've ever recited on this podcast.
Agree.
Second clue, Don Poleon has looked around the stadium. He has been impressed by a statue outside the stadium of a former player, manager and chairman. And what I mean by that is it's one person.
Another statue. Everyone's got a statue nowadays.
They do, but it's handy for this game because it's noteworthy and there's not a lot else I can go on without giving it away.
So we've done Leeds already with Billy Bremner. So I always think back to Preston and Tom Finney. Did Tom Finney play for him? I'm going for Preston.
You're going for Preston?
It's Preston North End, yes.
I think I could be wrong. We went to Preston a few weeks back, I'm afraid, so he's already been there, so he's looking elsewhere now.
Damn.
Yeah, never mind. Good try. This one I think you'll get it for on. He is very impressed by the ground. He says it's a really impressive ground. It is brand spanking new in the grand scheme of things. It was in fact opened in 2001 and has since seen football in 3 different divisions.
3 different divisions?
Since 2001 when it was first opened.
He's gone up. Oh, he's gone down. No, I'm thinking. But he didn't have a statue. I'm going for Southampton.
Yay! Well done.
That's how I can think about going through the leagues. There's a few, but
it is Southampton. Do you remember the name of their stadium?
St Mary's.
There we go. They were apparently used to be called Southampton St Mary's, which I never knew.
Ah, so really that first clue was basically a red herring then?
No.
So what's the statue of then?
Ted Bates.
Oh yeah, of course.
I saw a great statue the other day. I was at Fulham, George Cohen statue. thankfully, the Michael Jackson statue has long since departed. Although I did see that as well. It's in the Football Museum in Manchester. So.
Is it evaporated? Sorry. The old plastic joke. Not evaporated, just disappeared. Why would you ever have a Michael Jackson? I just don't understand that.
I'm just letting you talk.
Why would you have a Michael? Why is that in? You say that's in the history museum.
The History Museum.
The Football History Museum.
Yes, the Football Museum in Manchester.
Why?
Because I think it's so ridiculous. It is something that is, I think, stereotypically, in a strange way, British almost, because it's so ridiculous that we almost have to commemorate the fact that one of our most traditional football clubs, with potentially the best stadium in the country, decided to have a statue of Michael Jackson outside of it.
And did they at the time have Uri Geller as well, trying to say he introduced him, or am I making it up?
Uri Geller first, that's the reason Michael Jackson came to watch Fulham once.
Yeah, what a combination.
Yeah, what a...
But I still just find it amazing that's in a football history museum.
Yes, and then you've got George Cohen's statue at Craven Cottage tucked round the other side, where no one can see it unless you go into the stadium that end.
Unbelievable.
Oh well, there we go. Okay, we've now been joined by Matt Orme, Sheffield United fan, admin of the Sheffield United Facebook group, Blades Are Us 2017. Healthy membership levels or numbers on that group, over 2,000. Matt, you've been a Sheffield United supporter for how many years now, dare I ask?
Oh, ever since I was 3-year-old.
Wow.
Oh, God, so it's a long, long time.
We won't go into exactly how long.
Yeah, over 30 years, well over 30 years.
Season ticket holder?
No, I'm programme seller.
Programme seller, okay. So whereabouts do you sell programmes during the game? Do you do the rounds of the Bramall Lane?
No, I don't. I sell on our famous street, probably Shoreham Street. You probably heard of the Shoreham Cop.
Okay, yep.
It's our main cop.
Yep.
I sell on Shoreham Street in the corner. Yeah, so I do roughly about 100 to 150 a match, so it's not too bad.
And then you watch games from
the Cop.
You go straight to the Cop.
Yeah.
Superb. So we've obviously asked you to come on and do a bit of a preview on Sheffield United. So of course we visit your gaff, basically. We visit your place on Saturday. So we thought we'd go through a bit of a preview, but of course we like to try and do some questions on the team and stuff like that. So who's this season? Obviously you've had a good season, but who is your favourite player from this season?
This season? Oh God. Now that's a difficult one because we've got quite a few. Obviously you've got to say Billy Sharp. Billy's a blade, blade through and through. It's like obviously, he was I think when he was 7-year-old, he went on to the Cop, and he's watched obviously ever since. He's been away a few times. Obviously, played for Southampton, Notts Forest, obviously Reading as well. But Billy or probably John Fleck as well. Like John Fleck, he controls centre and midfield well. Yeah,
it's interesting looking actually because obviously Billy Sharp, top goal scorer, 18 goals, 18 in the league as well from what I see there. So all in the league. And you say obviously with John Fleck, 14 assists. So quite healthy. I'm assuming he set up quite a few goals for Billy Sharp this season.
He has, yeah. It's gone off the boil a bit. He usually does a lot of driving runs from midfield, but in the last couple of games, obviously we've lost or drawn. He's not been driving in midfield as much, and I think that's where the key is, and obviously the defence as well. But if he can start to get that going again, I think we should be all right.
So we're recording this on transfer deadline day. So of course we're not. We've done our bit of business, our little bit of business we're going to do. But you're hopeful you might get some more business by tonight. But in terms of, you've done some business already. So you've obviously, what any team does that's trying to win the league, they go and basically handicap their nearest rivals. So you've got James Hansen from Bradford. Was that needed? Because from what I look about, the goals haven't been shared around too much. Billy Sharp's out on his own. So was that key to get a new striker in?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And not only a new striker, a new way, obviously, a plan B. So we're not obviously now, obviously we were well renowned as obviously the crazy ganger, Bassett era, of the long ball era. But now No, we're not. We're not long ball no more. We play some really good football, attractive football. But I think we signed Leon Clark obviously in the summer, and that hasn't worked. I don't know why it hasn't worked, but I think James Hansen coming in will give a different dimension to us. And we played the other night against Fleetwood, and we didn't have the dimension what we needed. They were really tight on us, and the balls were going over Billy Sharp, and it needed someone like Hansen to. And obviously, he'll be playing on Saturday.
Teams naturally, when a team is doing well, and to be fair, this season we've had a little bit when our home record was decent. Teams come to your place and they shut up shop. So I'm assuming that's just to give that. And James Hansen, God forbid, to make his debut on Saturday, did score a couple of goals against us early in the season for Bradford. So let's hope he doesn't repeat that on Saturday. Very quickly, so what's your most improved player this season, would you say?
There's two. I'm going to say two. I've got to say Paul Coots. Outstanding, brilliant. Something's changed. He's become an absolute dynamo in midfield. And the other's got to be Kieran Freeman.
Okay, and are they new players this season, or they've been there for a little while?
No, they've been there a little while. They came under Clough, I think they did, and then basically Adkins destroyed them. Nigel Adkins destroyed them. So. Okay,
and under the new manager this year, obviously done really well. Then, yes.
Yeah, well, Chrissy Wilder, obviously, yeah, he's a man's man, and he gets going, and yeah, he's got them playing, and Alan Neil as well, which is quite important. Alan Neil, obviously, one of the top coaches. Yeah.
So how is he? Because he's a blade, isn't he? So Wilder's come in. Is it that job from looking from outside in? Is basically about how much you deal with the pressure, because I'm assuming that Sheffield United fans want to get out of League One. Do you think, because he's one of your own, have you given him a bit more slack, or has he just done the job that's needed?
Well, no, definitely not. I don't think we've given him any slack at all, because at the start of the season we lost his first 4 or 5 matches. Right. So yeah, and there was a lot of people calling for his head, believe it or not. But obviously then. The thing is, Chrissy, when he came in, he didn't have the team he wanted. So he's brought in his own players, and he's trying to get his own players in. And he's doing it on a shoestring budget as well. And that's quite important. The wage bill was cut by 3 million last year. So It's quite important that obviously that's noted.
Definitely. So, what with the teams that you've been obviously home, your program's there. Have you been? Do you go away from home at all now and then, or?
I wish I could. I just can't get no more. I would say a long time ago I did complete season where I did every match. But I don't get to the away matches so much, and getting the tickets as well is the problem as well. You just can't get tickets.
Yeah, and I could probably understand, especially at our ground at the moment. I think we only give 700-800. So, yeah, I can get that. A big fan base at Sheffield United. In that case, then, what are the top 3 teams that you've seen? So, not in terms of league status, but what are the best 3 teams you've seen visit Bramwell Lane this season?
Bristol Rovers. Got Bristol Rovers definitely top one. Fleetwood were very, very resilient. And I think Shrewsbury, when they were down to 9 men, actually really battled really well. So I'd say them 3 in different ways. But yeah. I thought Bristol Rovers were a very good side. And another side as well, Northampton, who did very well when they come down, and we managed to beat them at the last minute.
Yeah, and Bristol Rovers obviously lost Matty Taylor on transfer deadline day, so
near rivals.
Yeah, well, yeah, across the city, so that's going to go down well in Bristol, I'd imagine, wouldn't it? Really? Would you? I'm assuming that. How would you be if you sold your top striker to Sheffield Wednesday, for God forbid?
Well, for one, if we were to sell Billy Sharp, which he wouldn't go anyway. But he's already said that he'd never play for Wednesday. I think there'd be a lot of Blades are very unhappy.
Yeah, I can imagine Bristol not being a happy place. And as we wrap up, what's your prediction for Saturday?
Oh, I think it's a difficult one. Depends how obviously Wimbledon come to if they're going to defend, and not attack or not put anything into attack at all, and just put 10 men behind ball like every team has for the last 6-7 matches, I think we'll struggle again. But I think now we've got obviously another new signing as well, J.O.C. coming from Chesterfield, which I've always rated. Every time he's played us, has always been obviously he's been that type of player we needed.
Yeah.
With Mark Duffy, who's been trying really hard. Obviously, he was in the team of the year last year. We took off Burton. I think I predict maybe a 2-1 to United.
Cool. And actually, I'm just looking at the form table here. You are there's not much difference between us, actually. You're 10th in the form table over the last 6 games. We're 13th. An interesting stat, our away form was good first half of the season. We haven't scored away from home since October, just to give you a little bit of a encouragement there. Not that you need it being where you are in the league.
I don't know if that's encouragement or not, though, to be honest, because last year we played at Southend, who haven't played and won in something like 16 matches. We went to Southend and they beat us.
Records are there to be broken, aren't they?
Exactly.
Nick, what's your prediction for Saturday?
We're going to score, because you've just said that, and our big record of not scoring since October has to end at some point. Whether we'll get a point or even win, I doubt. I will take a point now, of course. I think we might get a goal, but I fancy Sheffield United to get back to winning ways. I have a feeling that a few dodgy results of late. I'm going to go 2-1 to Sheffield United, sadly.
Yeah, not that I always say. I'm looking at the goals here, and Sheffield United 15 home games, 10 wins, so healthy home record. I see obviously a loss against Fleetwood, but in all fairness, Fleetwood were probably one of the best teams we've seen down Wimbledon all season, so I don't think that's the worst result in the world. I'm going to go for I think it's going to be a 1-0 loss. I'm hoping for a goal, but I think it won't happen at Bramwell Lane.
Oh dear. It's not sounding good for us, but what I will do, Matt, as I'm travelling up on Saturday, so I always get a programme from every game, so I will try and search you out. And thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
And all the best.
And good luck for the season. Obviously, Wimbledon, I hope obviously we might make a sneak for the playoffs, maybe.
We'll settle for staying up.
The start of the season, Matt, we were like, we'd be happy to stay up, and then all of a sudden we hit the top. Well, we got just under the playoffs, didn't we? We're like, wow, we might do better than what we thought. But in all seriousness, we stay up. But good luck. Sheffield United always a club that I've in League One I've always looked at. Yeah. And
let's get you back to Plough Lane as quick as we can, back to your home.
Good lad, you're welcome back anytime.
No problem. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks, mate. Take care.
Okay, we're heading down the final straight of this week's podcast. That was a cliched radio, media, TV type term, really. Not sure I'm happy with it, but I've said it now. Tough, we'll have to go with it. Stu, before we sign off this week, a couple of updates from elsewhere around the club. Big game for the ladies this week, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I think they've been out of action for a little while. They did have a game at Luton, but got called off because of the weather. But they're in cup action on Sunday against Brighton and Hove Albion ladies, and that I believe is always a 2 p.m. kickoff down at Gander Green Lane, the famous venue that's being highly publicised at the moment for their pitch. Also, just like under 21s lost 2-1 against Southend in the week, and also Dave Fitzpatrick scored a goal for Torquay, a 3-1 win against Gateshead. And anyone not travelling to Sheffield United on Saturday, he will be playing Bromley he himself, but he'll be playing Bromley on Saturday at their ground, which is, of course, one of the famous non-league grounds that we've been to, which has had loads of action down there.
Yeah, I've actually bizarrely forgotten the name of it off the top of my head. Hayes Lane, that's right, it's Hayes Lane.
That's the one.
Yes. Oh, what memories.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining me this week, Stu.
Thank you.
Been a busy week. I know we haven't played, we haven't had a game to talk about, but lots of things going on around the club. And of course, Stu, I'm still recovering from the Royal Rumble. Did you happen to catch any of the second biggest event of the WWE calendar year?
I didn't, mate. I didn't. Was it? How did it go?
It was amazing. Very, very much enjoyed this year's Royal Rumble. Of course, WWE fans seem to have a similar problem to many football fans, is that they're never happy. So lots and lots of moaning, but I enjoyed it. That's the main thing. And hopefully by the end of the week, I'd have caught up on all the sleep that I missed staying up for it. I think I'm getting too old to do that now.
Yes.
Anyway, there you go. Thank you very much for joining us this week.
No problem.
Updates from the Sheffield United game will be available on all our social media platforms. At 9YRS Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Search for us on facebook.com/9YRS Podcast. Thank you very much to Paul Raymond and George Jones and my brother Chris for updates on all those platforms as well. I'll be trying to do updates from Bramall Lane on Saturday. We'll see how that goes with my ever declining amounts of data that I have left. And all that's left to say is, please join us next week. Stu, I never believe who we've got joining us next week.
No, who's we got joining?
A very familiar name to a lot of people, I think.
Okay.
Ben Wilson. We thought we had Ryan Sweeney on this week about his loan to a League One club, so why not a former Wimbledon player, Ben Wilson, on his loan to Rochdale? And I'm sure we'll give him a great reception, won't we, Stu?
Oh, a smashing reception.
And if you can't listen to it next week, don't worry. We're sure he'll be tweeting about it. We'll see you then.